Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to present this little talk tonight. My name is Gregor Kalinkat. I'm presenting the Alliance for Freshwater Life today for you. And most of these slides were provided by Professor Sonja Jenig. She's a collaborator here at the Institute of Freshwater Ecology and Inland Fisheries in Berlin, Germany. And she's also a professor for eco-geography at Humboldt University, also here in Berlin. And yeah, we'll go right into the topic. So my name is Gregor Kalinkat, as I already said. I obtained my PhD in 2012 at Technical University in Darmstadt, working with food webs of arthropod predators in soil food webs with lab experiments and at the interface between like food web modeling and behavioral ecology of predator-prey interactions in these systems. After that, I became much more aquatic, worked at various topics with behavioral ecology and community ecology, and also did a one-year postdoc in Switzerland. That's also where I met Chelsea in 2015. And then I was coming in touch with more conservation-oriented topics after that at IGB. And since 2019, I'm working in the working group for light pollution research here in Berlin, where I'm a research scientist in a 6-year project at the moment. Since 2018, I'm also very much involved actively by volunteering for the Alliance social media activities. So I together with 3 other people, I'm running the Alliance for Freshwater Life's Twitter account and trying to have regular activities there. So we have a little bit of visibility there. So that's it for the moment. Yeah, freshwater biodiversity. We go right into one specific type of freshwaters, which are rivers. You see here, this is a map from a 2019 paper by Grill et al., published in Nature, where they analyzed the free-flowing rivers of the world. And you can clearly see in this global map that particularly in Europe, but also in India and in China, along the eastern coast of Australia, large parts of South America, and very heavily in Northern America, how many of the world's rivers are not free-flowing. So this is very relevant, not only for the migration and dispersal of many species of animals and other organisms, but also for the circulation of sediments and nutrients. Why is this important? So I think a key point that cannot be stressed enough is freshwaters, so open freshwaters, fluid freshwater, covers less than 1% of the Earth's surface, yet it provides habitat for more than 10% of all known species. And approximately 1/3 of vertebrates and approximately half of all the fish that we know are freshwater species. The ecosystem services provided by freshwater ecosystems, lakes, rivers, wetlands, are estimated to be worth more than $4 trillion annually. This is a recent study where I also was involved. We analyzed population data for a approximately 250 of the largest species that can be found in freshwaters. So these are mostly, as you can see on this side here, these are mostly large fishes, many reptiles, a few mammals like this river dolphin, and like I think 2 species of giant salamanders in China and Japan. And as we show in our paper in Global Change Biology, the population decline for this so-called freshwater megafauna, defined as animals that can be 30 kilogram or more in their adult stage, is approximately 85% decline. And many other of the indicators for global freshwater biodiversity show, yeah, like really, really bad signs. So where are we in like addressing this problem? So there is a couple of very specific issues with freshwater biodiversity protection and conservation. Freshwaters are below the surface in like several aspects. So there are a couple of studies that have shown over the years that in terms of focus and the like proportion of attention and also of grant money that goes into research on freshwater systems is skewed towards terrestrial and marine systems. So these are 2 papers by Laura Tidix, who was a PhD student here at our institute, and by another group. These were mostly postdocs in Australia, and they found that like freshwaters are really underrepresented in the literature compared to the amount of biodiversity that they provide habitat for. So there are also other recent papers that showed how like the conservation status for many of these freshwaters also looks really bad, because very often rivers are merely the borders of a protected area, then they are the center of a protected area, which they actually should be. And there are more gaps in the conservation of freshwaters, according to the IUCN Red List. So, for example, all terrestrial birds and more than 80% of terrestrial mammals have been assessed, whilst only approximately 55% of the freshwater fishes have been assessed. And yeah, all these large rivers, they have are only less than 10% of the area is protected. So there are these issues with research attention, research funding, and protection and conservation status. And then on top of that, you have also the problem that yeah, we tend to focus on large, charismatic, fluffy mammals mostly. So these are the 10 most charismatic animals as identified by a research group around Franck Courchon from Paris. These are all, yeah, large mammals, most of them predators, and only 1 species is associated mostly with marine environment, and none of those is associated with freshwaters. So in the top 20, they also assessed the top 20. There is the hippo, which is a freshwater species, but overall it's really like there is a lack of like really a freshwater panda, so to say. And yeah, we assessed the state of potential freshwater pandas in this short paper, which was published in Conservation Biology in 2017. So on the other hand, what is there if we look at the policy and the regulation and laws to protect freshwater and freshwater biodiversity? So freshwater in itself is not only habitat, like for most people is it first and foremost it's a resource, it's an essential resource for drinking water, irrigation, for agriculture and industry. It's used for energy supply, for transport, and in many places these direct uses of water and waterways are very much in the focus of policies, and there is a lack of consciousness that these are also critical habitats for species and also ecosystems that provide essential services for human life. So this is just a very conceptual figure about like which regulatory frameworks in the EU biodiversity strategy exist, and actually none of them like address specifically freshwater biodiversity. So we have in Europe, we have the Water Framework Directive, and it's actually like one of the most powerful tools, and it has achieved in its implementation, at least at the places where it's where it's been more or less achieved. It has provided like some benefits over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 decades, but there are still a lot of gaps, and generally, like a lot of the freshwater specific problems with biodiversity conservation are not properly addressed by these regulations. So enter the idea of the Alliance for Freshwater Life. So with Alliance for Freshwater Life, we are aiming to operate really at scale to address all these problems. The Alliance for Freshwater Life is an initiative that was founded mainly by scientists, but also several, or by a lot of people also involved in conservation NGOs and other sectors, to join forces and to create a world where people better understand, value, and safeguard freshwater biodiversity. And the self-acclaimed mission that Alliance for Freshwater Life was founded is to halt and reverse the global decline of freshwater biodiversity through a set of pillars, you can say. So there's research, because, like, as I said, and as you can see, I'm a scientist myself, so like research is one of the most important parts of what Alliance for Freshwater Life integrates, and we are trying to coordinate and support efforts that examine the status, trends, and drivers of change in freshwater biodiversity. And hand in hand with this goes the goal to synthesize and to compile and provide access to better and more complete freshwater biodiversity data across the globe. The next pillar is to inform, support, and connect and implement conservation efforts throughout the world based on strong scientific evidence. But at the same time, and connected to what I presented before about the lack of awareness, is that we really want to raise the profile of freshwater biodiversity through education and public engagement, so people get a sense of the importance and the fascination of freshwater biodiversity. And then in the final part of what we aim to do is really to bring all this together and to engage with policymakers and provide the scientific evidence needed to make informed decisions for the benefit of freshwater biodiversity and to improve conservation and protection of freshwater biodiversity. So like this is just one example. That is the global Lake Ecological Observatory Network, 500 members in 49 countries. And I think also this points to a problem. I think I mentioned it implicitly before. In terms of research, particularly, I think a big part of the problem is that freshwater people are, to a certain extent, they are really fragmented. So the lake people tend to hang out with lake people, and the river people tend to hang out with river people, and the wetlands people they are on their own. So this is also like one of the motivations behind Alliance of Freshwater Research, to really bring all this together under one roof to improve the mobilization also for these data. Yeah, a main fraction of people involved with the foundation of the Alliance for Freshwater Life are from Germany. We have a parallel effort going on that is like really focused in Germany, and with the Ministry for Education and Research. And we have a research agenda was published in 2019. There's also a German English version of this German agenda, and it really brings together like all the expertise from a lot of universities and institutes. And you see the Natural History Museum, the Senckenberg History Museum, and a lot of research institutes involved with biodiversity in Germany. So similarly to what I described before as the 5 pillars of what Alliance for Freshwater Life is working on, the Forschungsagenda Living Waters is also made out of these like 5 pillars: monitoring, ecology, society, management, and data provision, integration, mobilization. One initiative that is connected this, and it was even like its creation predates the Alliance for Freshwater Life. So you can imagine that the people that are involved with the Alliance for Freshwater Life, many of them have been involved with these issues before. And so the Freshwater Information Platform was created in an EU-funded project, and is still used and is growing at the moment for making these data accessible. And as you see here, and as I mentioned, we have this problem that a large part of freshwater biodiversity is not assessed for the red list, for the IUCN red list. as I said, like for example, only a fraction of freshwater fish are assessed, and yeah, for invertebrates, the situation is bad actually everywhere, not only in freshwaters, but particularly also in freshwaters. So this is also one of the goals to improve the assessment status for many of these species. So as I said, officially the Alliance for Freshwater Life was launched in the summer of 2018. So there was like a lot of work predating this official launch, but this was in August 2018, and I will shortly just present some of the things that have happened since then. We created we have a quite a nice website that you can see. Also, there's a paper if you want to learn more about the Alliance for Freshwater Life. This is basically the paper introducing what Alliance for Freshwater Life does and what it's supposed to do. That was published at the same time as the Stockholm World Water Week 2018. And in the follow-up, we had a small conference here in Berlin at the Botanical Garden, where we basically brainstormed together how we can raise awareness for freshwater life. And then we were involved in a couple of conferences. So we organized a series of workshops at the conference in Europe, which was targeted at developing the future EU biodiversity strategy. And there we also developed a couple of projects that you will see after that. I mentioned already the Living Water research agenda for the German Ministry for Research and Education, with a lot of partners in Germany, also published as an English version, as I already mentioned. Then we already have like a couple of follow-up publications now where the Alliance for Freshwater Life was heavily involved. So this is recent publication in PLOS Biology, where we summarize how digital data, so digital photos and analysis of, for example, content on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, can be used to improve conservation and also biodiversity monitoring. And this came out of this conference in Belgium in 2019 that I already mentioned. So ecology basically means like biodiversity monitoring through digital data, and conservation culturomics mainly focuses on the interactions, like using the same data sources, digital data from, for example, social networks, but more to assess the human nature interactions. Yeah, so there are a couple of issues with this. Of course, you have to be sensitive and have to be careful, and also the data sources are not easy to deal with, but we think that a lot of the potential is quite big, and it can be of great value in the future. So this is really an emerging field, and we think that it also will help freshwater biodiversity conservation and data acquisition. So the other paper that came out of the conference in Ghent in Belgium is this one led by Charles van Rees, where we really lay out how particularly the Water Framework Directive that I already mentioned, but also other regulations in Europe have helped to improve the status of freshwater ecosystems in Europe, and also addressing the data gap. So we were looking at like what happened in the last like 20 years in Europe, and how could how can these things help improve the global agenda for freshwater biodiversity conservation. So as you can see here, we had 14 recommendations that we sorted into these 4 elements. One like core concept is really creating the awareness and also in the policy field that freshwater ecosystems are a third realm, and they are a life supporting unit, and their connectivity is really crucial for conservation. Ongoing activities include this preprint that was just published a few days ago, actually. So this was another activity where we really like collected opinions from freshwater scientists from really around the globe. So this was led by Alain Masri and Sonja Jenig, and this was just recently published. And again, it has these like 5 pillars, and because there were other people involved, like the focal points are a bit more refined. But again, you have this data infrastructure and these socio-ecological parts that all have to be integrated. Also, very recent, like just 2 weeks ago or so, the WWF has published the report on the world's forgotten fishes, freshwater fishes, together with USC, the Alliance for Freshwater Life, and also 14 other conservation organizations. For example, Synchronicity Earth, the Nature Conservancy, the Zoological Society of London, World Fish Migration Foundation, IUCN, Conservation International, and a few others. So this is really recommended having a look at the at this report, and it got a lot of media attention. So this is like one of the most important things. And in general, I can like stress again that this really working together, the scientists with the conservation NGOs in this part is really advancing this whole endeavor. Yeah, thank you for your attention. I hope you liked the presentation, and as you can see, you can find us on Twitter, and you can look for our website, and yeah, that's it. Thank you. So bye bye.